Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm talking about something a little different, and this is a very special tag video. It's introducing a new fragrance house that I've not talked about on my channel before, and it is called Rosa Salas. Before I was tagged to do this video, I had not actually heard of Rosa Salas, or at least I wasn't familiar with Rosa Salas. I had seen them briefly through YouTube channels, through reviews, and also on Instagram. Fragrances created at Rosa Salas are clones of high-end fragrances, well-known fragrances. If you go to the Rosa Salas website, they talk in some depth about the quality of materials that they use. Organic, natural and vegan and ethically sourced, with eco-friendly bottles. Now, aside from their high-quality clones, they've also made a private line, and their own private line of fragrances, focusing on a main note of high-quality oud. So the fragrances in the house are oud fragrances, and it is their own private blend. I believe there are 6 in the line that have been created. So the lovely Tony at Fagrances was sent samples by Rosa Salas of these 6 new fragrances, and he decided to make it into a fun tag video. So what he decided to do was review all 6 and keep the hold of the one that he most enjoyed, and then send the remaining 5 on to a reviewer of his choice, with the condition of that reviewer reviewing the 5 fragrances, picking the one that he likes or she likes, and then sending the 4 on, and so on and so forth. So he tagged John, Scented Snowdrops. He then kept the one that he loved the most, and he tags me. So I have now been sent these 4 fragrances, the 4 remaining fragrances. Of course, at the end of this video, I will choose a reviewer to tag, and thus sending on the 3 remaining fragrances. Are you with me so far? So a tad nervous because all these fragrances have a dominant note of oud, and it is a natural, good quality oud. And my inexperienced, delicate, maybe slightly sugar-coated nose is used to fruity florals or sweet florals, sweet gourmand florals, or you see what I'm saying. So am I qualified to pass judgment on something I'm not used to? Well, it's going to be a very innocent, straightforward account of my opinions on these fragrances. And I apologise for this dark setting. It's the evening, I've got incense burning, got my candle burning, I just feel nice and relaxed. And my incense is a little nod here to the type of fragrances we're going to talk about. Incense does creep up in a few of these. Okay, let's start with Aphrodite, the most pungent one of the lot. This is the one I found the most challenging. This is, now I get it, and I get what the word beast mode actually means. It comes at you with force. There is no hiding from this fragrance. It's also an incense heavy fragrance. It's very incense heavy, specifically frankincense. I will list the notes on the screen so you can get an idea. I wore this one, I think it was 5 days ago. I'm not going to respray it because honestly this will fill the room and never leave. So I'm just going to really refer to the notes I've written down. A frankincense heavy oud fragrance. It opens up potent, sharp, piercingly strong. Now, when I heard Tony's reviews of this, he referred to the oud in a lot of these as barnyard oud. I think I finally understand what people mean when they say about a barnyard oud. I get a bit of that barnyardy smell in here, but it's not a straight up, you know, farm with animals and dung and all that kind of thing. It's just a hint of something dirty, but it's kind of addictive at the same time. It's quite a satisfying kind of smell. Staying with the opening of this fragrance, I've written in my book here, coke with lashings of spices and pepper, hitting the top of my nose in an oddly satisfying tickle. Oh god. And once you get past that kind of opening, one thing I do get very strongly in here is that scent of chopped wood and vibrant sap. I don't know if you've ever been to like a timber yard and you get those freshly chopped wood shavings and sawdust, but when the sap of the tree is really pungent and sharp, I get a lot of that in here, and I find this to be an incredibly masculine scent. I hope you won't mind me actually giving you an example of the kind of man I see wearing this scent, and I was going to do that for all of these 4 fragrances to give you a visual representation of where my mind goes, because forgive me for saying that I find these more appropriate for a man, but that is just how I'm programmed with these fragrances. I see a huge muscle-clad lumberjack and chopping wood. He's covered in tree sap. He's proper alpha male. He just smells of the outdoors, tons of testosterone. You've just got this big punch of Man from the Wilds, and it has beast mode performance. I put this on the crook of my elbow. It was pungent, it was so strong, it lasted until I had a shower. I had a shower and I can still smell it after the shower. I mean, it was very, very strong, and it really projected. You don't lose any character through the wear here. It just gets softer. Sandalwood in here that is providing some tameness. So it is taming down this wild, gruff character. So that is Aphrodite. That is the sexy lumberjack. Just noticed my incense has run out, so let's just burn another one and get that one in. Hang on. This goes to show how long it takes me to actually film, because the incense was burning forever. Next up we have Noble Wood. When I first sprayed this, one thing I noticed in comparison to Aphrodite was how it was incredibly rounded. Aphrodite opened out, like I say, this piercingly sharp, woody frankincense. It's Noble Wood I found very rounded. Also, like Aphrodite, I find this to have a tree sap element to it. This has cypress, which is obviously an evergreen tree, but that tree sap element I find to be more peppery, but also kind of mossy at the same time. There's this kind of aquatic sort of feeling to it. Mossy, green, uplifting kind of sensation. But it's beautifully smoothed out with this warm amber. There's also anise in here, which I find gives it this kind of glistening, dazzling sensation. It kind of dances on the skin a bit, this one, but there's a real freshness to it. And I don't know if this is the oud, but I find it medicinal, but almost like spearmint or minty or eucalyptusy. And when you sniff it from the actual skin, I've written in my book here, a warm toothpaste. And just to point out, there is no mint in here, but this is just the nuance that I'm getting. I don't find the oud to be strong in here, but obviously it's giving it quite a gruff backbone. And what I got from this overall was, I've written down evergreens after the rain. So you've got that sharp, piney, citrusy scent, but it's awake. It's like it's alive after rain. That's what I'm getting from this, from Noble Wood. And it is a very noble wood. The man I see with this is Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. He's a ranger that just survives out in the woodlands, in the rough terrain, and I can imagine him smelling like this. Fantastic performance with a very evident sillage and trail. So that is Noble Wood, or as I call it, evergreens after the rain. So number 3, let's move on to Plateau. I'm not going to wait till the end for some big unveiling of which is my favourite. This is my favourite. So when I first sprayed Plateau, 2 words popped in my head. I'm going to show you what they are because I wrote them down. There you go, look at this. Ooh, yes. So before even looking at the notes on Plateau, I smell a beautiful, sexy rose oud. The rose is definitely prominent in here. Beautifully sweet and also beautifully ambery. Now this, if you're an amber lover, you're going to love this one because the amber plays a very big part in this fragrance. What I've got written down in my book here is big juicy rose with a dirty oud and a warm resinous amber. When I sprayed this first time, I thought of Oud Bouquet, a masculine version of Oud Bouquet. Because the rose is big, juicy and sweet, slightly gourmandish almost. Now rose and oud could be too sharp on its own, but beautiful amber, the amber is so warm and addictive, and it is wrapping rose and oud together beautifully. There is a lovely vanilla in this fragrance as well, and it's coming through quite chocolatey. I'm definitely getting a lovely chocolatey vibe in here. This is such a warming fragrance. It's almost glowing. So the amber actually stays quite a dominant note, I think, in here. And as it dries down, I start to get a very slight hint of something powdery. Powdery and sweet and soft. Vanilla is very, very beautiful in here. It's very smooth and so perfectly blended. It's intoxicating and very attractive. There's one very clear stereotype and character that this fragrance completely embodies, and that is the historical seducer of all time, Mr. Casanova. He would smell of Plateau, no question. He'd be completely decadent, and smooth and charming with sweetness and probably a chocolate edge in there as well. And it's just so thick and boozy as well. Clearly my favourite, and clearly this one will be staying with me. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. Fourth and final fragrance is Terra, or Terra. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. The oud in here reminds me very much of the oud in Noble Wood. There's that same nose tickling, sharp, slightly spearmint quality. But what I really love in Terra, it very quickly softens out with the florals. Was there any florals in here? I'll list all the notes. I can't remember if there's any florals in here or not, but even if there isn't, there's a little bit of a floral touch in here. That pungent woodsy oud really softens out into something slightly floral. What I really very quickly smell is caramel. And I smelt caramel before I looked at the notes, and I was so happy. I feel like I'm doing something right in my nose. It's not too big, it's not a big caramel, it's a warm base. The caramel starts to mingle with this kind of incense wood, and actually you start to get a vetiver as well. There's a nice sharp vetiver that's coming into play. It's also mossy and very slightly earthy. And it's a really interesting blend of all those things. What I really enjoy about Terra is there's a cold and warm thing going on. The oud and the vetiver seems to lean cold, almost salty. There's a bit of a salty edge to it. But the caramel is keeping this beautiful warm base. I'm also getting a bit of a tobacco nuance as well. It has a really classy edge. A lot of facets in this fragrance. And overall, they're creating quite a sophisticated fragrance. There's a lot of strength in here. There's a lot of class and a lot of charm. Strength from oud, lovely smooth sandalwood in here, giving it some class, and that caramel just giving it a hint of like a sweet charm. So through this charismatic fragrance, I just see James Bond wearing this. This is a James Bond sort of scent. Again, like the other three, fantastic performance, fantastic sillage. Nothing shy about any of these fragrances. They are all really confident. Yeah, a really classy one, that. So that's lovely. That's probably my second favourite. So that is Terra, sorry. And that is my review of these 4 fragrances. I've really enjoyed taking part in this. It's been great to experience oud, you know, the style that I'm not used to. It's the house of Rosa Salas, to experience the house from sort of like the VIP lounge in a way, and to experience their private line. So I'm very grateful for that. So all that's now left for me to do is to disclose the person that I've chosen to tag. And they will of course be receiving Noble Wood, Aphrodite and Terra, because this one is mine. So the person I've decided to tag is Scott at the Centurion. I really enjoy Scott's channel. I would love you to take part in this tag, and I would love for you to receive these 3 fragrances and hear your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the 3 that I sent to you, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on each of them. And I'm sorry that I'm denying you an experience with Plateau, but you know, those are the rules. And that is the end of the video. I just want to thank John so much for tagging me, Tony of course for starting the challenge, and of course thank you so much to Rosa Salas for sending Tony the samples. I hope you all enjoyed the video. That is all from me. I shall see you all again on my next one. Take care, over and out.